Welcome everyone, I'm Dawn Duvall with Shall We Stamp, and today is February 17th. And I'm going to show you how we can use One Sheet Wonder template and make 4 cards out of this scene, keeping several of the scenes intact. Now this is a paper from Celebration, which runs out the end of this month, which is February of 2023. So this is a 12 by 12 piece of pattern paper. Now the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to turn it to the left, and I want to cut off 4 inches from the bottom. I'm sorry, I'm going to flip it back this way, pardon me, it's just easier. So I'm going to line this up at the 4-inch mark, and I'm going to cut off this. We're going to make 4 slimline cards. Now what this is going to do, so we're going to cut that, and we're going to set this aside, and we're going to use this for another card. And now I'm going to come back and bring this in, and I'm going to cut off a 1/4 inch on this right side. So this is going to be 12 by 8 inches. So I'm going to cut off a 1/4 inch, and I'm just going to lightly cut, and that's going to bring it right on the right side of these 3 look like bales of hay. Now we're going to cut these at 8 inches. So that will give us 3 cards plus a little leftover. So I think what I'm going to do is start this way. That way I know I can get my 3 inches in without cutting off part of the other part on this side. So I want to make sure I've got, let me think how I'm going to do this, because I really don't want to cut the barn. And yeah, I think this will work. Okay, so we're going to line this up at 3 inches. Make sure that you're lined up top and bottom. Now we'll cut off a little bit of the cowl, but that's going to be okay. So this is going to be one of our base, one of our cards. Then we're going to move this over to the 3-inch mark, and we're going to line this up, cut this one. So we got this lined up at 3 and it's straight, and we're going to bring this down. This is going to cut off just a little bit of one of those silos, which is fine. All right, and then we're going to bring this one over, and this one's going to be more of the field, and we're going to bring this one up to the 3-inch mark, and we're going to cut this one. And let's see, we want to have the yeah, we've got the sheep in there. And we're going to have our road, our grass, and our trees. So I think we're good. So we're going to go ahead and cut that one down. And then this leaves this small piece here. Now you can make something with this, or we can cut out some of these images to be used on our other parts of cards. Okay, so now I'm going to take this piece here, and I'm going to cut this down to 8 by 3, right? So this is 3 inches. So I want 8 inches. But I want to get this part here. So I'm going to set this up at the 8-inch mark. And we're going to line it up right about there. And I'm going to use these flowers. So we're going to cut this at 8 inches. And then this one is also going to be cut to 3 inches. So I'm going to trim it down a little bit from this side. So we want to make this our 3 inches as well. So that's going to, I'm going to try to get without cutting off the cowl. So I think I'm going to play a little bit with the papers. So I think I'm going to trim as much as I can here. All right, so that's going to trim off that little piece right there. Then I'm going to turn it and get it to the 3-inch. That way, actually I could cut a little bit more here. I'm just playing with this to get it to the 3-inch mark. I don't guess we want legs in there, right? So I just don't want to cut my cowl. So let's see how close we can get. So I'm going to pull this down and cut right there. And then, all right, now I'm going to turn it around to the other side and line it up at 3 inches. And then this way I can cut here and just cut off the chicken's legs, but that'll be okay. I think we'll be fine with that. And I think that's it. All right, so let me make my cards, and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, I'm going to go through the different card stocks and sizes needed before we put these cards together. So I wanted to show that we'll get 4 cards out of this piece of 12 by 12 paper. So you're going to do a basic black, a card base that's going to be cut at 8 3/4. 8 3/4 by 7 1/2, and then you're going to score this at 3 3/4. So you'll need 4 of those. All right, and then the next thing you're going to need is a Balmy Blue and a Pear Pizzazz. We're going to need 3 Balmy Blues and 1 Pear Pizzazz piece of cardstock. And this one is for that piece that we cut off at 4 inches. And I'll show you that once we get the cards completed. So we have these, excuse me, these are 8 5/8 by 3 5/8. So it's 8 5/8 by 3 5/8. So you need 3 Balmy Blue and 1 Pear Pizzazz. And then, because these are going to be our layers. And then we're going to need 4 basic blacks. And these are 8 1/8 by 3 1/8. And so what we're going to do is we're going to layer these on our cardstock. So on our base, so let's just say this is the front of the card. Of course, you're going to fold it and score it. So if that's the front of our card, we're going to do the Balmy Blue, and then we're going to come in with the black, and then we'll come in with our design when we've cut our piece that coordinates. So all of that should be with just a small edge. And then the Balmy Blue, the first one, the larger one, we're going to emboss that with the Clouds folder, I guess. That's a good name. So you'll emboss the larger Balmy Blue with the Clouds embossing folder. So that's what the outside's going to look like. And then, of course, we'll have our sentiment. Now, when we do the insides, now the fourth one, when we cut this piece off, there was another strip that was this was 4 inches by 12. So I cut off the part that had the flowers. So you're going to make the 8 by 3, just like the other ones, but this one we're going to do horizontal. And so that other part that we cut off, we're going to trim out the flowers and the pigs. Okay, so we're going to trim that, which was on this side. We're going to trim those off, and this is going to be added to that card. And then this one will go on the same card base, but instead of having the Balmy Blue, we are going to do a piece of Pear Pizzazz on our black cardstock, and then we'll do another small black, and then this one will be shown like this. Okay, so once I get it all in there. And then this piece here, we're going to cover up that rooster or chicken, whatever it is, and then we're going to put the little piglets, we're going to put them right about here, somewhere in that area. Okay, so that's what we're going to do with this one. Now for the insides of the card, of all the cards, we're going to have, except for this one's going to have a Pear Pizzazz with a piece of basic white, and then the other 3 will have a Balmy Blue, and these are 8 1/4 by 3 1/4, and the Pear Pizzazz will be the same size, and then our basic white for us to write our message on are going to be 8 1/8 by 3 1/8. Right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the camera for a minute, put the cards together, and I'll be back with the finished cards, and we'll go from there. Okay, I'm down to the last card, and this is the one that we cut to 4 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to put this one together, and then I'll go over the other cards as well. So again, here's our base. I'm going to fold it. It's already been scored, and then I'm going to take my bone folder and give it a good crease. Now, because this one we're using a dark green background, then we are going to put our top layer of Pear Pizzazz right on here. So I'll go ahead and put some adhesive on the back of this, and then we're going to layer this to the front of the card. All right, and we'll get that on here, and then we'll add our paper. And before we do that, though, we're going to, the one thing I like about, I don't usually like multi-purpose glue, but I'm getting really used to it. But the one thing I do like about it is it allows you to move your paper. It gives you a few seconds to do that if you don't get it exactly the way where you want it. All right, so there's our Pear Pizzazz. Now, this is the piece that had this on the end. So we cut this off. So I'm going to take, and we're going to add this to the corner right here, and I also cut out the pigs. So we're going to put this on with our multi-purpose glue, and we're just going to line this up on the corner, put some adhesive here, and we're going to line this up on the corner of our designer paper, and we're going to bring it right over to the edge. We're going to cover up this chicken, and we're going to lay it right here. So we've got those flowers, so we've attached those to here, so we're not wasting a lot of paper here. All right, so we have that, and then I'm going to leave this up just enough where I can tuck my little piggy's feet in the right behind underneath that. So I'm going to add adhesive here, and then we'll go ahead and add this one. I'm going to lay it right about here so it's in between the two. Now that you can see underneath, but they may think that's part of the flower. Who knows? So I'm going to put the little pigs probably right about there so they're not too close to the chicken, but it looks like they're kind of laying. Let me get them down a little bit from that chicken's, so it doesn't look like he's standing on them there. We'll put them just like that. Okay, so that's what we're going to do with those pieces that we've cut out, right? And if this is popped up, you can add more adhesive. I think I'm going to leave it like that. It just gives it a little bit of extra oomph. Okay, so we've got our piece on there. So I'm going to go ahead. Now we have to add our black piece, right? So we're going to layer this onto our black piece of basic black cardstock. So let's go ahead and do that. And then once we get this done, then we'll stamp our sentiment, and then I'll show you the other cards as well. Now, this one, we're going to go ahead and place this on here. We're going to have a very small border, probably about 1/8 of an inch. That's why we cut these a little bit different than what we normally do. All right, so there's that. And then I'm gonna pop this up on dimensionals, but before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and stamp my sentiment, and then I'm gonna trim it down. And I'm using a sentiment from the new Irresistible Blooms, which is coming out March 1st. And this is one of our online exclusives. And I'm using the I Couldn't Be Happier to Have You as a Friend. So we're gonna go ahead and stamp that using our Memento black ink. All right, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to stamp that right about like that. And this is 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just take my paper snips, and I am going to cut it at an angle. I'm going to place it right here. So I may trim this down just a little bit more so that we don't cover up the cow's legs. Let me bring in my paper trimmer. So I'm going to line this up, and I'm just going to try to get it right about, let's see, my trimmer's blade is going to go right about there. So hopefully, let me get this up here, and then we'll trim, whoops, get it on there. So we've got our slot right there for the blade. So I'm going to place this right about here, and I'm going to go up and then pull it down, and I think that's perfect. Cut this at a slant. And then let's do it this way. We'll just do an angle like that. All right, so let's go ahead and we will add dimensionals to the back of that. I think I'm gonna put it up here so it's out of the way for our actual picture. So let me go ahead, and I'm gonna use our black Stampin' Dimensionals. So anytime you use dark cardstock, you wanna use these black so you don't see the white. It makes a big difference. So we'll just pop these in here, and you can put as many on here as you would like. I'm just going to put them about like that. And this is a great way to use up your pattern paper too. So now when you have an image like this particular paper did, now you've got some ideas how you can cut it apart and make slimline cards. And then we're going to use our envelopes that are offered by Stampin' Up. Lay it right, I'm not going to pop it up on dimensionals, I'm just going to glue it right there so it's hanging over this edge, but it's not over the actual card itself. And I'm only going to put about halfway because that's going to be hanging over, so I don't want to take a chance and put a little bit too much on there. All right, and we'll put that right about here and right above that chicken's head. All right, so there's our sentiment. Now the next thing, we're going to take our Pear Pizzazz and our basic white, and that's going to go on the inside. So again, because it's a dark black background, we're just going to add a little bit of color with our basic white so that we can write our message, or you can stamp something on the inside, whatever works for you. So we'll go ahead and attach this on here. Okay. And then we'll add this to the inside of our card. And this is where we will write our message to whomever. All right, and let me show you the other cards and the envelopes. All right, now the envelopes, I haven't completed them yet, but you can do them however you want. We sell the slimline cards. They come in a pack of three different colors. There's like a soft succulent, there's white, and like a smoky type gray, or maybe it's gray granite. It might be that color. And what I would do is you can use probably the white, or the gray might not look so bad, but the white, if you have some designer paper, you could always cover it and then use a white cut out like a label tag and put that in the center to write your address to the person that it's going to. But here are the colors that the envelopes come in. So you've got the green, the white, and the gray, and any of these would be fine. Okay, so we have this one, and then let me bring in the other three. I ran the Balmy Blue through the Clouds embossing folder, and I don't know if you can see that right on the edges. And then I stamped the word hello, and again we popped this up on the black, and I popped everything up on dimensionals, and then the inside has the Balmy Blue with the white, so they're all the same. So there are our three cards, and then our fourth card, which is horizontal, and we'll put those right there. And so you can see our scenery. There's our paper. There you go. I hope you've enjoyed this template, the One Sheet Wonder, and if I can help you with anything, please let me know. And again, I'm Dawn Duvall with Shall We Stamp, and I look forward to seeing you in another video.